right. Welcome, everybody. We're going to call the meeting of today's Board of Commissioner meeting. Call it to order at 6:06 p.m. And I'm going to ask the clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioners Cavell. Where'd he go?
Yep.
Okay, come back. Erickson Gulp. Here. Gershenson. Here. Gingell. Here. Hoffman. Present. Johnson. Present. Joliet.
Here.
Long.
Here.
Lubes.
Here.
Markham.
Here.
Miller's excused. Nelson.
Here.
Powell.
Here.
Smiley.
Here.
Smith Charles.
Present.
Spiz.
Present.
Taylor.
Here.
Weipert.
Here.
Woodward.
Here.
Last call for Cavell. All right. You have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Fantastic. Thank you. The invocation for tonight's meeting will be led by the Honorable Lenny Taylor, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So we'll call Lenny to the podium. Commissioner Taylor to the podium.
Good evening. As we gather here today, we acknowledge the profound responsibility and opportunity that lies before us. We come together as stewards of public trust, united in our dedication to service and the advancement of the communities. Let us embrace the spirit of collaboration and innovation, striving towards solutions that uplift and empower every citizen. In our collective efforts, let us remember the values that guide our work, which are transparency, and commitment to the common good. May our discussions be fruitful, our decisions be wise, and our actions be impactful. Let us make decisions that allow our residents to thrive and amplify the good that is within each of us. Let us show our communities that their voices are being heard and that the way we represent them is guided by our reverence for both their individuality and their similarities. Let us show our communities that we recognize and share their desires to live the best life possible and show that with our actions as well as our words. Let us make the collective light of Oakland County shine as an example to the entire country of what a community can do when we set aside our differences and work together toward an atmosphere of belonging and mutual respect. So let us not start this meeting with our heads bowed, but instead with eyes open and refreshed in the knowledge that it's not about where we came from to be here tonight, but that we are here together, united in the service of more than 1.2 million people who call Oakland County home. Let's be renewed in the commitment we swore to support the Constitution of this state and of this country and to this county and to faithfully discharge the duties of this office to the best of our abilities. And let's also acknowledge the mutual respect we have for one another as colleagues and legislators, as human beings, and let reason and our heartfelt principles be our guiding compass as we take up the business of this county. Together, we can build a future where progress is shared and prosperity is within reach for all. So in this spirit, let us recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Taylor. Okay, first up is approval of the minutes from our January 13th meeting, moved by Commissioner Lube, seconded by Commissioner Hoffman. Is there any discussion? See none. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect that the minutes have been approved unanimously. Next up is approval of the agenda. Motion to approve the agenda, moved by Commissioner Lubes, seconded by Commissioner Cavell. Any discussion on the agenda? See none. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye. 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 Opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect that the agenda has been approved unanimously. And then they will move us next to a proclamation to honor the incredible talent that we have in this great county. And I'm going to call on Commissioner Brendan Johnson to present the proclamation to our honoree.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First, I'd like to ask my colleagues, Commissioner Spiz and Commissioner Gingell, if they'd like to come up and join me. And then also Water Resources Commissioner Jim Nash, if you'd be so kind as to join us up here too. Hi, I'm all right. How are you? I'm going to read this one, and then if you guys want to go
Split off that
Yeah.
one?
happy to-
All right.
Hello, hello. I'm going to hand you over the mic in a little bit too. Hi, everyone. So I don't know if you all have this hanging in your office, in your living room, but I definitely do. I can't tell you how much I love looking at the artwork on this calendar every month. I'm so excited to see a new drawing from one of our students in our community. And I am titillated to say that the winner of the cover artwork is from Rochester Hills, and it's, there it says right there, Vipra Jain. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what this project is, and we're all going to say a few words, but I'm so excited, Vipra. So this is the 20th anniversary of the Kids Clean Water Calendar Contest. It's organized by the Environmental Unit of the Oakland County Water Resources Commissioner's Office. Nearly 17,000 students from all over Oakland County, representing public, private, home school systems, have participated in this contest for the last 20 years. The top 12 finalists every year are then honored with a month in the calendar for their award-winning artwork to represent the current theme. 12 of those years were made possible by Oakland County Water Resources Commissioner Jim Nash and his nonprofit organization, Pure Oakland Water. Pure Oakland Water funds the 5,500 printed calendars and provides prizes for all the contest winners each year. All 37 public libraries in Oakland County have partnered with the contest since 2020 and have distributed the calendars for free. You can pick up some in the hallways too. They're great. Like I said, I have one at home. Judges for the contest include individuals from the environmental movement, government, education, and media from Oakland County. To help us celebrate this milestone anniversary, I would now like to ask our Water Resources Commissioner, Jim Nash, to talk a little bit.
Well, thank you so much. I get excited about this one too. This is a wonderful thing. We get between 700 and about 1,000 entries every year from schools all across the county. We've had some folks that have won several years in a row, 2 years in a row, which is only 4th and 5th graders. So this is, to me, it's one of those great opportunities for young people to really look at the environment and understand it, and then put their effort into drawing something really beautiful that expresses what we need to do to protect our environment. And this young lady here is just very talented and artistic, like so many of the other folks that have done this. 20 years this has been going on. My staff has been working on this actually since before I was here, when I was first as a county commissioner here. And this is the kind of thing that really, really works in the communities that we work in. So please, come on up here. I'm going to, whoever's next here, would love to have you. And thank you so much for doing this for us.
Yeah. How you doing? So we actually have a proclamation we want to present to you tonight. So I'll start, and Commissioner Spiz will finish, and if Commissioner Woodward or others want to add on to it, certainly they will. But let me just start. Whereas it's a privilege to recognize students such as Vipra Jain, who utilize their artistic talents to promote the welfare and preservation of our natural world. And whereas Vipra is a 5th grade student at Hampton Elementary School in Rochester Hills, whose artwork was selected for the cover of the 2025 Kids Clean Water Calendar, the annual calendar contest hosted by Oakland County Water Resources Commission and Pure Oakland Water, welcomes 4th and 5th graders in Oakland County schools to submit artwork depicting water conservation and pollution prevention using crayon, marker, ink, pencil, watercolor, or paint.
Whereas this year's theme, we can all help to keep Oakland County's lakes, rivers, streams, and watersheds clean. We received 734 art submissions from 22 different schools. Vipra's original artwork titled Ban Plastic depicts the many ways residents can prevent the continued accumulation of plastic in our environment and waterways. Her winning submission can be found on the calendar's cover and is the highlighted artwork of the month of February. You're doing a heck of a job.
Coming up.
This is the Water Resources Commission's 20th annual competition, and nearly 17,000 students have participated over the years. And whereas, I'll let you do the last one, and the last one. You get to read your own name.
All right, perfect. So now there be it resolved, myself, Dave Wood, we went to the last whereas, okay. Whereas on the special occasion, we join with the Oakland County Water Resources Commissioner, VPRA's family, friends, teachers, classmates, and the Rochester Hills community to congratulate her on being selected as the cover artist for this year's Kids Clean Water Calendar. And now therefore be it resolved that myself, Dave Woodward, Chair of the Oakland County Board of Commissioners, along with Commissioners Brendan Johnson, Michael Spiz, and Michael J. Gingell, and the entire Oakland County Board of Commissioners, here do proclaim special commendation to Vipra Jain. We thank her for using her gifts to raise awareness of the ways in which we can keep our freshwater resources clean. Thank you very much. Say something? You want to say something? Did you enjoy it?
welcome to.
The mic is yours. What inspired you?
Well, I saw a lot of plastic flowing around the water sometimes, so it inspired me to do it for plastic, and you guys gave me the opportunity to show it. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I don't know which job she's taking, but it's one of yours.
Come on, Jim, jump in. Let their mom and dad come up here.
Yeah, the parents.
Come on, you want to get a picture in there with this family? Come on. Right here. Yeah, come on, jump right in. No, you're good. You're good. All right, congratulations.
I would just like to mention that we have a tremendous partnership with Cranbrook Institute of Science on this project, that they are really an amazing institute, and we work with them closely on a lot of educational things. Great place to go. Please visit.
Another round of applause for Vipra and her entire incredible artistry. Okay, next up is our it's communications. And do we have any communications?
Not tonight.
We have no communications tonight, so we will move on to the first public comment of tonight's meeting. This is an opportunity to speak on items on the agenda. That's specifically the consent agenda and the regular agenda. And then if it's on a different topic, it will be after that. We have a rather short agenda. So is there anyone here to speak on any items on the agenda? I will call on Suzanne Maloney about issues on the agenda. Okay, welcome.
Thanks. Hi, I'm here to speak about the 5 additional accountants for the various projects and departments. And I read in the supporting material, and I did have the supporting material reviewed by my husband, an accountant, and he said, yes, they do need 5 more accountants. However, in light of the changes that are going on dramatically starting at the beginning of this week at the federal level, I wanted to propose a suggestion that I guess instead of looking for ways to spend money, and listen, the things we've done in the past, of course, a lot comes from federal down to state, and state down to county, and that way is how we get our funding and that type of thing. Now, I think there's a directive to say we have to be very good stewards of the citizens' money. I think you saw that in the AM tax initiative of last year. It didn't pass, but I hear it's back on the horizon. They want to limit property tax or eliminate property tax. And I guess what I'm saying, if the federal government has an organization that's called Department of Government Efficiency, then maybe we need to create a committee to really look at the ways we spend the money. Now, am I correct? I read, and I guess it says there's 71 increase in FTE on the Water Resource Committee. And I wondered if that 71 might have been a misprint. Wasn't? Anybody know? Anyway, I know I'm not allowed to ask questions of the people here. But anyway, I guess the point is things have changed, and I think we really need 5 accountants hired at one time. Anybody reasonably is going to look at that and say that is excessive. And maybe you can stagger the implementation of those 5 accountants, or at least put one of them on the job of finding ways to save money and redirect. I'm also of a concern that the new departments listed, some of which at the federal level have actually been closed this week. And maybe that needs to be looked at in terms of this group's continuing new departments when it's not being done at the federal level. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you very much. Next up, I have John Love to speak on items on the agenda.
John Love. The problem I have is that they have all these items on here, like purchase of vacant land in Pontiac. There's no money listed on it. That's kind of important. And it's an element that it should be essential to put something like this on the agenda on all of these items. Are you going to, when you discuss it, are you going to talk about the costs, or what's going to happen here? That's what my concern is.
Thank you, John. Anybody else to speak at the first public comment? Any items on the agenda? Seeing none, I will close the first public comment, and that will bring us to reports to standing committees. And first up, we have is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Commissioner Lube, seconded by Commissioner Long. Any discussion? Commissioner Smith-Charles, followed by Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Regarding item resolution 2024-4852, which is the purchase agreement for vacant land on Walton Boulevard in Pontiac, Michigan, discussed at length in both committees. The final negotiated price is $399,510. That's the amount of the cash offer. We are fortunate here in the county to have a grant application from Ducks Unlimited that was approved through their Wetland Conservation Funding Program that provides us $425,000, which would allow us to not have to impact our general fund or any of our coffers whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. Just a very top level comment, since it's the top of the year here. Any item on the consent agenda has passed our committee process unanimously after extensive discussion, and to save probably thousands of pieces of paper every time we have a board meeting, all of that information is available publicly online. So you can find all the supporting documentation online. It would just be thousands of pages every meeting for us to print that.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. And just to reiterate, the consent agenda has gone through our committee process, approved unanimously. All the supporting documentation is available on the online agenda. The agenda that I think was referenced during public comment is a printout of the items on today's agenda. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please prompt the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 17 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The consent agenda is adopted. That will move us to the regular agenda. And I believe there's just one item, and I will call on the Chair of the Finance Committee, the Honorable Gwen Markham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everybody. I only have one item on the agenda tonight, and that is the creation of 5 accountant, 3 positions to support the Fiscal Services Division. And I will move that.
Moved by Commissioner Markham, seconded by Commissioner Taylor. Any discussion? I believe we have an amendment. So Commissioner Spiz moves amendment number 1 on this item. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Joliet. Commissioner Spiz, on your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am proposing an amendment to change the number from 5 accountant 3s to 2 accountant 3s. And rationale being, if any of you paid attention or were part of the Finance Committee, I did ask a few questions in there. And one of them was, can I see an org chart, which they did send me, and I do have, showing that there's 100+ people in that department today. I also asked for an overtime chart over the last 5 years, just to kind of get an understanding how much overtime are we spending, because you can use overtime to justify a head, because sometimes it's cheaper to hire somebody additional than paying overtime. So based on that, and I asked for a forecast also. The forecast shows that there's roughly about 1,800 hours of overtime for 25 and 20. For 25, 1,800, and 26, 1,800 hours. That's about 1 head. So I could justify 1 head based on the overtime. And then based on some of their other rationale to the excuse, okay, I can give you a 2nd head. But to me, to go to 5 heads is an over request for what they need. And if 2 doesn't meet the requirement, they can always come back in, and you can add an additional later. But jumping to 5 right away, to me, is over and above. I don't think we need to go that high right away. So my recommendation is 2, and I ask for your support on this amendment.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? I guess I'll just speak to it as I think the recommendation from Fiscal Services, given the intent and why we're doing this, everything ranging from the true-up support on our patrol contracts, plus managing all the other grant, the increase and uptick of grant receipts, and ensuring that we're in compliance more on the front end than on the back end, that the request is reasonable, and I urge commissioners to reject this amendment. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please prompt the vote on the amendment.
Mr. Chair, you have 7 yeas, 10 nays.
A insufficient number voting in the affirmative, the amendment fails. That brings us back to the main motion. Any discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please prompt the vote on the question. Oh, Commissioner Smith-Charles.
I was unable to see the output of the last vote.
Of the amendment?
It wasn't on the screen, or at least I missed it.
We can get you the tally.
Thank you. For the good of the community listening, I wanted to know if we could get the output of the vote from the last one.
The tally vote was 10-7. You have the tally. You want to see like
She wants
how
to see
everyone voted?
who voted how.
I mean, it'll be reported in the minutes. Okay.
Commissioner Smith Charles, did you vote on this? You don't have your vote in?
Yeah, let's get through this vote and then I will go back.
No. Commissioner Lubes? Yeah, he's not here. Mr. Chair, you have 11 yeas, 7 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The resolution is adopted. Can it project?
It's not us. It's not us, it's technology.
All right, so it's not projecting. It will be recorded in the minutes. 11-7. Probably can figure it out. And the previous one, there was one vote that didn't get recorded because it didn't work. Okay, sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted. Commissioner Markham.
That concludes the report of the Finance Committee, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. That'll move us on to new and miscellaneous business. There is none. Announcements. Do we have any announcements by commissioners? Announcements. Commissioner Johnson.
Commissioner Cavell gave me permission to brag about his district for him. Yesterday, the James Beard Foundation released their semifinalists for a host of different categories, and Secret Bakery in Ferndale, Michigan was named a semifinalist for Outstanding Bakery. We should go there.
And Commissioner Cavell is hosting tomorrow morning.
Or Commissioner Cavell can bring stuff to us.
All of Oakland County.
There we go.
Any other announcements?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Most of you probably aren't aware, but there was a press conference held today at 3:30 relative to human trafficking by the sheriff and the prosecutor's office that I attended. There is a prosecution going on for somebody that was trafficking 2 young women in 2 different locations. And one was in the city of Southfield and one was in the city of Warren. So, and he's being brought up on 10 total counts. And this has to do with the new cross-jurisdictional task force that we are starting to work towards. The city of Madison Heights has 1.5 heads supporting that. The city of Southfield signed on today for an additional head. So it's something that we need to keep in the back of our minds that this is going to continue to grow. This was a very large bust, and we expect that there's potentially others coming out of this because they're usually linked to more than just one individual. So I just want to put it in the back of everybody's mind to think about this because there are going to be times that we're going to have to discuss additional resources for our sheriff's department to help support this because it's going to continue to grow as other municipalities sign on to this. So thank you. I just want to make sure everybody's aware. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Spiz. Any further announcements? See none. That will bring us to our second public comment. This is the opportunity for the members of the public to speak on any other topic not on the agenda. I know a number of people signed up, so I'll start with this. And if there's anybody else who didn't sign up, I'll get to you after the following have had an opportunity. I ask members of the public to come up, when I recognize you, to come up to the podium. If you can state your name and community of residence, and then ask you to address the board, address the board through me. And we have a little timer up here to ask you to keep your comments to 3 minutes. First up, I've got Nabil Sater. Yep, you're first up. Welcome, sir.
It's the first time I've been called first, so that's a great. Thank you all. Happy New Year and belated Merry Christmas, all that stuff in here. So I'm here today just in continuing our prior conversations from before in the spirit, but this time in the spirit of MLK And for that, I'm wearing my South African keffiyeh. This keffiyeh is for South Africa. So in the tradition of MLK's values of justice, equality, and accountability, I'm just reminding everyone here that what's been going on in the Middle East, it's going on in Palestine, Israel, Gaza, and the West Bank, is still an ongoing problem. It's still very much an ongoing problem. So the bombs stopped in Gaza, but they started in the West Bank. So right now, Israel is plowing its road ahead in the West Bank, destroying roads, ripping up infrastructure, abducting people. They released 90 hostages, prisoners. We call them hostages, and they abducted another 200, 300, or 400, took them to jail, no reason, administrative detention. But the interesting part is that the whole world, the entire world, was concentrating on the 3 hostages, Israeli hostages that were released, but no attention was given to all the destruction and all the mayhem going on. So in the spirit of MLK, and the spirit of my brothers and sisters in the Black movements, whether it is here or whether it is anywhere else in the world, I call upon you to reconsider what we've been discussing all along and maybe talking about bringing back the ceasefire resolution that we've been asking for. Is just, like I said, in the spirit, because right now, although we're thinking that there is a ceasefire, there is no ceasefire. Israel is still attacking in Gaza as we speak. Not like before, of course. In Lebanon, even though there is a ceasefire, I'm from Lebanon. In Lebanon, they bombed yesterday in Lebanon. They killed people after the ceasefire, and now in the West Bank. So I'm not going to take up much more time, but I'm just pleading to you in the name of MLK, in the name of humanity, in the name of decency, in the name of human lives. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Amrit Kohli, followed by Heather Burnham. Welcome.
Hello. Good evening. My name's Amrit Kohli, and I'm a Ferndale resident. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "I oppose the war in Vietnam because I love America. I speak out against it not in anger, but with anxiety and sorrow in my heart, and above all, with a passionate desire to see our beloved country stand as a moral example of the world." There is a tenuous ceasefire in Palestine today. However, it is worth noting that Israel conducted 50 airstrikes targeting shelters, homes, and displacement camps in the first 24 hours after announcing the ceasefire. This week, Israeli forces invaded Jenin, leaving at least 9 Palestinians dead and 36 injured. The so-called ceasefire has already been violated by Israel, and Netanyahu has indicated that he will start attacking Palestine again if he feels like it. Then there's President Trump. I blame the Democrats for his election. The reason the Democrats lost this election so badly is because you aren't listening to your constituents. Even here, in this very chamber, Mr. Woodward has decided for the entire county that no ceasefire resolution will be brought to the floor for a vote, despite hearing strong support for one on the commission and in the community. We came to most of the commissioners' meetings last year. Mr. Woodward, as chair of the commission, has the exclusive right to prevent any piece of legislation from coming to the floor for a vote. Even if a majority of the commissioners overrule Mr. Woodward's hateful position, Mr. Woodward has the exclusive right to refuse any legislation that he doesn't like from coming to a vote. That's not democracy. That's fascism. But why not take a page from Trump's playbook and act it out here? That's what Mr. Woodward has decided to do. Rather than allow the democratic process to play out, Mr. Woodward is dictating to the community his own privileged, whitewashed, racist ideologies that would allow Israel to have a free reign of terror against Palestine. Mr. Woodward and the Democratic Party more broadly do not care about the Palestinian people. Dr. King tried to set this country on a better course. He tried to liberate his people and the entire nation too, only to meet his demise to the white supremacists that murdered him. I oppose the genocide in Palestine, but I am not as gracious as Dr. King. I am angry. I am angry at you, Mr. Woodward. I am angry at the Democratic Party for falling asleep at the wheel. I am angry at what little progress we have made since Dr. King's assassination is being rolled back by the current administration. Have you learned anything from this election, Mr. Woodward? You may have been reelected, unfortunately, but look at your party. Look at the Democratic Party. Trump has walked all over you, all of you, and you've allowed it. The Democrats lost this election because they are not listening to their constituents. If you still haven't learned anything from this past election, then you leave it up to us, the community, to remove you from that chair. And we will. We will, Mr. Woodward. I don't have the patience for your racist attitudes towards Palestine. And yes, I am calling you, Mr. Woodward, a racist man.
Heather, welcome.
Hello, my name's Heather Burnham, a longtime Waterford resident. And I'm here today to echo the sentiments of my friends and ask why we haven't brought a ceasefire resolution to a vote. I have been extremely depressed, as many people have, and it's not just this horrible weather. Seeing all the death and destruction and just knowing that people can't even speak out about it. And I'm not even just talking about what's happening in Palestine and Lebanon, and the Democratic Republic of Congo and Sudan, but here as well. We need to make moral choices, and I keep asking for that, and many people have. And I do feel that it's a very simple request. But I also, if you can't meet us where we are at, can you at least please give us answers? I know you can't right now, but is there a reason that this can't even be brought to a vote? And I've asked this before, and I haven't gotten a response for that. This would be in line with all of the values that you say you represent. So why can't this be brought to a vote? Why can't this be part of the democratic process? It's because of pressure that change happens. That's what history's shown us. That's what we reflected on Martin Luther King Day. Pressure is what makes change happen. Action is what makes change happen. Even if you say, oh, it wouldn't matter, every bit matters. Every voice matters. Your voice matters. Please bring the ceasefire resolution to a vote. And if you can't do that, please give us an answer as to why. Thank you.
Thank you. John Love, followed by Jeff White.
Wow. I came here to talk about the tower in Pontiac, $19 million. I don't understand what's going to happen to this complex here. I enjoy coming here because I can find a place to park easily, and I can have access to all of the county government. I don't understand why you're doing this. It doesn't even make sense. It's a waste of money. I'd rather have it spent on something more worthwhile. But let me just make one comment about what the war crimes are in Gaza. I read Jimmy Carter's book, and he clearly outlines how the Jews have been stealing land from Palestine and treating them like dirt, and it's a big surprise they did something about it. But they can't do anything about it because we have the war criminal Netanyahu carpet bombing the whole Gaza Strip. Oh, it's a war. No, it isn't. It's a war crime. I spent a year in Vietnam myself, and while I was there, the Jewish military attacked a U.S. Navy ship, the Liberty, unarmed radio ship, killed 34 American sailors. And it was like, oh, it was an accident. That's the way we're treated by the Israelis. And we're going along with this kind of thing, and it's just disgusting to see it. But I went through Vietnam. That was another disgusting issue. 58,000. When I was there, the names are on the first half of the wall. Then the other half, they finished the rest of them off. So we don't have a very good record of treating our civilization in this manner. But I'd like to see you at least do something about this tower. That's a disgrace. $19 million, and what's it going to be? They're going to abandon this? This is a beautiful building, and the population isn't even growing in Michigan. So please, you're not going to do anything, but at least I had my say.
Thank you, sir. Jeff White, followed by Jody White.
Hello, my name's Jeff White. I'm a Farmington and a Livonia resident today. I've been up here probably for the past 7 years. I mean, I haven't been here in the last couple of years with the COVID and all that stuff. I did want to talk about a subject, and I'm going to say I'm sorry about your guys' situation. It's a little different subject, but it's right here at home in Oakland County. And the subject that I'm going to speak about is probate. You know, I've been in the probate system here in Oakland County 12 years. Do you find, and I'm still there today. Actually, I was going to come up here today on this day. One of the trustees that I have in Oakland County was going to be sentenced. That sentencing has been postponed till February 20th. And that's fine and dandy. That individual is going to get what they deserve. I mean, they got the conviction, they're going to get what they deserve. But up there in Oakland County, in the probate arena, that venue, there's a lot of situations going on up there. There's even things that Mr. Spitz spoke about, human trafficking, but I'm not going to get into that right now, and I'm not going to get into my situation too much, because there's co-trustees up there, and there's just one trustee. Now there's co-trustees on my case, and you've got co-trustee A, and I'm going to name the judge because I dislike him quite a bit. Judge Dan O'Brien in probate. Don't mix him up with the other judge around here. And he's got probate, he's got trustee A and trustee B. And trustee A is going to get away with everything he does. And that's Thomas Brennan Frazier. He may still get away with it. I mean, tomorrow I'll be going back up to the state because the Attorney General took this case. But I'm asking you guys to go in there and start looking at the files. You know, back in like 2018, I do remember seeing you up there. You were just doing business, but you know, it's kind of funny. I forget your name. I think it's...
Please direct your comments to me.
Okay, but anyhow, I thought, wow, they're up here. The commissioners are up here, and they're actually viewing what's going on up here. So these attorneys that are up there, and I'm not saying him because he was doing business and he did a fine job that day that I witnessed him, but there are a lot of them that are being favored up there. And you know, these attorneys are weaponizing the probate court side of these cases, my case in general, and many other cases that I've viewed, because when you're up there for 12 years, you meet others. I can go off and name you several off the top right now, but I won't go because I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. So they just do this just to enrich their lives. They liquidate estates with no thoughts of the other people, you know, and what these families are, what's happening to these families. You know, all the evidence is up there in the Register of Actions. You know, it's up there, and just everybody's got to go take a look. I'm going to be just a couple minutes here.
No, that's 3 minutes, sir.
Well,
Yep.
I'm just going to add, I'm going to take one last minute because I'll be up here
No,
next.
you don't get to take one last minute. Everyone gets 3 minutes. We treat everyone the same here.
The laws are being broken up there, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Mr. Woodward, I sat here with you in 21.
Sir,
in this forum.
your time of public comment is over.
When Casey Kasem was
Thank
here.
you.
Yeah, you just keep
next up
pushing
is
this
Jody
off.
White.
I'll be back to talk to you again. But there's a big
You are always
problem
welcome,
up there.
sir.
A lot of false
Please
fictional briefs being
follow
done.
the rules that everyone else is following.
Yep.
Even ones
I'm
that don't
glad,
like
I'm
it.
glad you came over here and not
Yeah,
Mr.
come on.
Conley.
Mr. White, please. Jody? Jody White, you are...
Leave me alone. I was just right here because I was
Your 3
assaulted
minutes
by
are
one of
beginning.
these guys, so I don't really like this. But
Welcome.
I want to say thank you again because many of you have been meeting with me. These sheriffs know what we're up here for. And I am not appreciating them. I need them to back away because we are allowed to come and tell you what's going on. And, you know, Mr. Hoffman did come up and look at the videotapes of what happened. And you guys know it's probate again. What I'm doing today is kind of coming to let you know that we're going to the State Bar of Michigan tomorrow to their Board of Commissioners. You guys have been somewhat helpful. A couple of you are going to go and talk to the new probate judge, Tracy Richards, and then the new chief judge, Jennifer Callahan, which is wonderful. But Jennifer Callahan, some of her cases are egregious. Victoria McCasey, look up her case. She's dead. She was a blonde. I know you guys know her. She died of this. The stress killed her. And she lost everything. Okay, so Victoria McCasey, if you do go up to look and talk with Judge Callahan, but the reason why I'm here is because there's some constitutional supervisory powers that the Attorney General has, which is wonderful. But like Jeff was saying, why would they only take down co-trustee B and not co-trustee A when they were supposed to be doing the job together? And it was in concert with a court order. But again, maybe you guys don't understand the probate process like we do. I have become an expert, not by choice, okay? So what I'm just doing is I'm gonna be asking the State Bar of Michigan, I'm requesting for intervention because the attorneys have to stop the attorneys from the scamming. You guys are citizens, also like us, and I pray that this never happens to you. Number two, we're going to ask for their authority and obligation to intervene because I looked up at the laws. I'm not a lawyer, but I am lawful, legal, and compliant. I'm learning the law, and I'm learning how to public speak without, getting mad. So, the third thing is legal foundation and specific advocacy efforts. Because again, we need some of the lawyers, especially the ones that have worked in there, who has seen Judge O'Brien do what he does, and these sheriffs have seen it. They've watched it happen, and we're still looking for our videotapes because you will see the sheriffs come right behind me, stand behind me, and they're intimidating me. I did not know that I was going to be threatened and assaulted and eventually thrown into jail. But guess what? That's what's happening. Lastly, we are really, this is my prayer, equal protection, because again, if co-trustee B goes down, A should go down. It's called equal protection under the law. But that also goes with criminal behavior. And we're requesting for legislative action. And the name of the bill that we've written is the Michigan Attorney Fiduciary Accountability Act of 2025. It's when an attorney has a dual role, acting as also maybe a co-trustee or a personal rep. We want attorneys in our line of business, but we want them to act professional and we want them to stop stealing. My time is up and I'm going to respect that. Mr. Woodward, congratulations for coming back, but I do hope we get the meeting with the judge. And Mrs. Powell was helping us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's who I had signed up here. I know some people signed up after that. So anyone who would like to also speak in public comment, just raise your hand and yeah, please come forward. I apologize, I forgot your name, but if you can just state your name and community of residence and the 3 minutes.
Thank you. So hello everyone, good evening. Commissioners, county staff, and all others here. Those of you who won the re-election, congratulations, and the new ones, welcome. I'm Qazi Afzal. I'm from Novi, Oakland County. Last Monday, Oakland County and all in the U.S. celebrated MLK Day. Dr. King's speech, I Have a Dream, meant equal justice for all. Dr. King's movement established equal civil rights for all, regardless of color of skin, race, religion. Martin Luther King Jr. changed the world by leading the civil rights movement and advocating for nonviolent resistance to racial discrimination, poverty, and war. The three evils of society are poverty, racism, and militarism. These are acts of violence which exist in a vicious cycle. They are interrelated, all-inclusive, and stand as barriers to our community in the community we live in. When we work to remedy one evil, we affect all three. We came to most of the Oakland County Board meetings last year. The supporters of peace and equality and justice presented data, facts, stories to all of you. This commission had no issue.
You got to talk into this.
Okay, thanks. This commission had, thank you. This commission had no issue supporting the peace for Ukraine. But when it came to the subject of the supporting the Palestinians who have been massacred, violated, tortured, raped for over 75 years, you have shown complete ignorance and silence. The occupying force also tried to redefine the term anti-Semitism and ban TikTok so that they can hide. The warmongering supporting machine bodies also made the ceasefire term toxic. The peaceful pro-Palestinian protesters were equated to supporting terrorism. Most of you probably fell for it and got scared by it. That's why you probably avoided it. You might also know about the incidents planned and executed by Maccabi gang in the Netherlands. It happened in Amsterdam during a football game. Look it up if you don't know about it. Most of you also heard about the protests at the university campuses and the similarities how the violences were planned, very similar to what happened in Amsterdam. So now there's a pause in the violence, and many of the stories which we are trying to bring in front of you will come out eventually through various media outlets. If you're following the major media outlets, don't, because they don't really report. They have an agenda, they follow, and they report accordingly. Now, there is also the other America. The reference was to Detroit here. While you might be part of this America, that's one of the phrases. I'm finishing up. Are you only representing this America or supporting the other America as well? We are put in the positions held here to stand for justice for all. That's equality and justice for all. How many of you can truly claim you have done that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else that speak during public comment? Mr. Flores. Welcome.
Buenas noches, good evening. My name is Mike Flores, and I am Oakland County. I recently moved to the city of Troy near Adams and Big Beaver into a stunning, beautiful 1957 mid-century home with signature floor-to-ceiling windows in all the family spaces. It's a home that my husband and I are proud of, and I'd love to invite all of you this spring into the open house. As I stood in my living room this past Monday on MLK Day, it struck me that if I had tried to purchase this home in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, or even into the 80s, I would have been barred from doing so. My right to own this house today is legislated into reality through the Fair Housing Act of 1968, Equality Credit Opportunity of 1974, and the Community Reinvestment Act of 1977. It is thanks to the work of leaders like Martin Luther King, John Lewis, Malcolm X, Thurgood Marshall, Medgar Evers, and countless others that I became the first person of color to live in this house. Because of the courage and sacrifice, I now have the privilege of contributing $10,000 annually in property taxes, and not to mention being part of the 30% tax bracket. With great privilege comes great tax responsibility. A responsibility not just to pay our taxes, but to ensure that those taxes are used in a way that align with the values of justice, equality, and humanity that so many before us have secured and fought for. When Oakland County uses tax dollars to send an economic envoy to the Middle East, as was done in December, I hope we didn't just seek financial investments, but also carried a message about the kind of partnerships we stand for. I hope we'd use the opportunity to emphasize Oakland County's commitment to justice, equality, equity, and well-being for all people. When our tax dollars are spent renewing the Michigan-Israel Business Accelerator membership, I trust we are clear about what Oakland County represents, ensuring that the relationships we cultivate reflect our values of fairness, equality, and respect for human dignity. And when Oakland County invests our tax dollars in local and foreign funds, I urge diligence. It's essential that every investment aligns with our values of our residents, supporting initiatives that bring people together, not those that fuel division and undermine our principles. We're all stewards of progress that leaders like Martin Luther King fought for, progress that allows me to own my home and be part of the Oakland County community. As stewards, it is our responsibility to ensure that our decisions and investments reflect the values that make Oakland County a place that we are all proud to call home. Looking forward to seeing all of you at the open house this spring. Gracias, and thank you all.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to speak during public? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Alia Malik from Novi, and I am Oakland County. This past Monday, as we celebrated Martin Luther King Day, I witnessed so many people commenting on his legacy and how we must ensure that his love for humanity, peace, must always be honored. Dr. Martin Luther King believed in a world without oppression, hatred, war, nonviolence, and poverty. We know that he was against the brutal war in Vietnam, for in that immoral war, we saw the death and destruction of children, women, men, the disabled, elderly, the land and infrastructure. Sound familiar, right? As such, we can say that Dr. King would be against the Holocaust in Gaza that we have witnessed for the past 15 months. His daughter, Bernice King, echoed those sentiments as she stated, "I am certain he would call for Israel's bombing of Palestinians to cease and for hostages to be released and for us to work towards true peace, which includes justice." With the ceasefire in place, let us hope and pray that Israel, for the first time in its history, will respect and adhere to international law and not violate it, for that it will end its brutal apartheid and occupation of 75 years, which is the root cause of this conflict, and that would live in peace with its neighbors and not spend our tax dollars into killing innocent civilians. A nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death, King said. I believe for Israel, that has already happened. So as we celebrate the anniversaries of Martin Luther King on January 20th and International Holocaust Remembrance Day on January 27th, let us remember the barbaric atrocities that we as a nation helped and allowed to happen in Palestine. For rest assured, our movement isn't going anywhere. Our work has just begun. We will not compromise our principles nor our commitment for the true freedom for all of humanity, democracy, and the rule of law. And we know Oakland County will be there along our side, living up to them. In Dr. King's words, with patient and firm determination, we will press on until every valley of despair is exalted to new peaks of hope, until every mountain of pride and irrationality is made low by the leveling process of humility and compassion, until the rough plains of injustice are transformed into smooth plain of equality of opportunity, and until the crooked places of prejudice are transformed by the straightening process and of bright-eyed wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that'd like to speak during public comment? See none, I will close the second public comment, and that will bring us to the end of our meeting, where we'll adjourn to February 11th, or call the chair. Be safe out there.